Today we're going to focus on solving equations when there's variables on both sides of the equal sign. So this is what we start with. 5a minus 8 equals a plus 8. So that's what I'm starting with. So I'm going to rewrite that. And that's what's given to me. That's the problem. So then I'm going to subtract a from both sides. And I can do that because of the subtraction property of equality. So I'm subtracting the same thing from both sides. So then we know that 5a and a we can combine. That makes 4a. And then we have this a and a negative a, which are going to cancel out and make 0. That's because of the inverse property of addition. All right, so now I can get rid of this 0 because 0 plus 8 is just 8. And that is the identity property of addition. Now I'm going to add 8 to both sides to start getting a by itself. Okay, so I can do that because of the addition property of equality. And like before, we know that negative 8 plus 8 gives me 0, and that's the inverse property again. Now again, we can get rid of the 0 because 4a plus 0 is just 4a. And that's because of the identity property of addition. And my last step is to divide by 4. So 4a divided by 4 equals 16 divided by 4. We're dividing the same thing on both sides. So that's the addition property of equality. And then these 4's would cancel out, leaving us with a. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And that is my solution, or my answer. This is our second problem today. So we need to write down what's given to us. Okay, so my first step is to distribute the negative to this parentheses and the 2 to this parentheses. And that's because of the distributive property. Now we know that 5 minus 1 is 4. And in the process, we are going to subtract 8x from both sides. And we can do that because of the subtraction property of equality. Negative 2x minus 8x gives us negative 10x. And then we know that 8x minus this 8x would give us 0 because of the inverse property of addition. We know that we can get rid of this 0 because 0 minus 6 is just negative 6. That's our identity property of addition. And then lastly, we will want to subtract 4 from both sides. And then we can do that because of the subtraction property of equality. We know that 4 minus 4 gives us 0 because of the inverse property of addition. We know that we can get rid of the 0, and that's our identity property. Then we can divide both sides by this negative 10. because of the division property of equality. These negative 10s cancel and leave us with x. And then negative 10 divided by negative 10 gives me a positive 1, and that's my solution.